All right, 4.3, graph using intercepts. So yesterday we did like where you were choosing numbers and you were plugging them into the equation to find points on the graph. So today we're going to be doing graphing using intercepts. Doesn't like me. The x-intercept, sometimes you'll see me do this as xint, but the x-intercept is the x-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept, or I'll also write this as yint, is the y-coordinate of a point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So basically the way we do this, to find the x-intercept, set y equal to 0 and solve. To find the y-intercept, set x equal to 0 and solve. Now I do this by the cover-up method, which I'll show you, but I just think it makes it a little bit easier, but I'll show you just in terms of plugging 0 in for the variable to find the other one. But the cover-up method, for those of you that don't like to show your work, will probably prefer the cover-up method. There's still work, but it's not as much, so. So relating intercepts, points, and graphs. So I'm going to have stuff about intercepts and points, and then over to the side I'm going to draw a little graph in a minute. All right, so the x-intercept of a graph is A, and under points the graph crosses the x-axis at A0. So that would be where it crosses the x-axis. So somewhere in here, this is just the point A0. Then under intercept, the y-intercept of a graph is B. The graph crosses the y-axis at 0B. So we'll just say that somewhere up here. And so from those 2 points, I can graph my line. Now, how many points did you have to have on the graphs we did yesterday?
3.
At least 3. How many are on this one? 2. So when you have it in standard form, which is where we're going to be finding our intercepts, you can just have 2. Okay? This will be the only time you can only have 2. Otherwise, you'll need 3 in the later sections as well when we move into the next step of graphing. So some problems are going to just tell you to find the intercepts, and then some are going to say to graph the equation, label the points where they cross the axis, which is just the intercepts. So we'll find the intercepts, and then we will graph them. But the first ones just say to find the intercepts. So number 4, we have 5x minus y equals 35. So the first one, I'm not going to use the cover-up method. I'm just going to use the set x equals 0, set y equals 0. So to find the x-intercept, I set y equal to 0, so I would have 5x minus 0 equals 35. The 0 obviously is just 0, so that's gone. So then I would divide by 5, so x equals 7. So that is my x-intercept, okay? And that's how you write it, is just like x equals 7. The y-intercept, though, is, we set x equal to 0, so this would be 5 times 0 minus y equals 35. What's 5 times 0?
0.
So that's 0, so I'm just going to put a line through it. That's gone. So now I have negative y equals 35, so I need to divide by negative 1. So y equals negative 35, and that would be my y-intercept. Okay, when you're checking your answers in the back, just so that you know, they just put 7, comma, negative 35, and they're just doing that in order because the x-intercept's 7 and the y is negative 35, so just for reference for you. So now, putting the 0 in there, that's fine, right? But what happens every time we plug the 0 in?
It's going to be 0.
That piece is gone, right? It's 0. So that's why I like the cover-up method, which I'll show you on this one. Now, this one's a little harder to see if you go back and watch the video because it's going to involve my finger and my paper. So, number 6 is negative 3x plus 9y equals negative 18. So, cover-up method, I set, for the x-intercept, I set y equal to 0. So I cover that up, and that piece is just gone. And so I have negative 3x equals negative 18. So what is x?
Negative, 6.
X is 6, so x equals 6. There's my x-intercept. Y-intercept. I set x equal to 0, so I cover that up. So I have 9y equals negative 18. So what is y?
Negative 2. Yeah.
Negative 2. Y equals negative 2. And that is my y-intercept. Okay? And that's totally sufficient for you to do that. Now, if you think you're inclined to get something wrong, perhaps you should at least write 9y equals negative 18 to show me that you at least kind of are on the right track. But if you use the cover-up method, that's fine. Just beware that if you have something wrong, it's hard to give partial credit if you don't write anything else down.
Is this the method that the book uses? Like, is it easy to answer all the questions
I mean, they're gonna show, like, the way that the sample problems show it are gonna be like I did number 4.
Okay.
But the cover-up method is usually what most teachers teach because it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
But it's up to you how you want to do it. But yeah, like example 2 in the book uses the method I did in number 4. It's the same thing. I'm just saving you a step of writing, basically. Sam, did you have a question too? Or were you just holding your hand up a second ago?
I was.
Okay. Number 8. 2x plus y equals 10. How do I find the x-intercept?
You divide 2 by 10. Well, 10 divided by 2.
Yep, so cover up the y, so I have 2x equals 10. Divide 10 by 2, and what do I get?
5.
So x equals 5. Y-intercept, what do I do?
You divide it by -1. So it's gonna be
Mm,
No, you.
Just positive one.
this is positive, so do I need to divide anything?
Nope.
No.
So this is just y equals 10. So this is just like one-step equations once you do this. Once I have covered the thing up, everything is just one step. It's just a matter of how I get there.
So, what would you do if it was a negative, like y was a negative?
Then I would divide by -1 like I did in the first one.
Oh, okay.
Is everyone okay with the cover-up method? I mean, I'm going to do more, but like
Yeah.
we're seeing it. Okay. 10 3x plus 0.5y equals 6. So x-intercept, cover up the y, and what do I get? X equals 2. All right, this one's going to be a little harder. Y-intercept, I cover up the x, and I have 0.5y equals 6.
3.
2.5.
How about if I rewrote this as 1/2 y equals 6? What would you tell me to do?
You gotta divide it.
No, times it by
No.
I would multiply by 2, so y equals 12. So you got to pay attention to that when you're doing these problems, because they can try to trick you with stuff like that.
Wait.
12. Y equals 2x plus 24. So, when I have one like this, I need to move this stuff over so that all the variables are on one side. So that's kind of opposite of what we had been doing in the other sections. Because notice, every problem we've done so far, x and y have been together on one side and then just a number on the other side. So if I want to move this 2x over, how do I do that?
Minus 2x.
Yep, so negative 2x plus y equals 24 is what I now have. Now I can find my x-intercept, cover up y. So negative 2x equals 24, so what is x?
-12.
Yep. Negative 12. Then to find the y-intercept, cover up x. So what is y?
24.
Yep, y equals 24. All right, so that's just finding them. The next set of problems says to graph the equation, label the intercepts. So I'll probably do this not on graph paper. If you want graph paper, that's totally fine. But just for the sake of these problems, I probably won't do it. So 16, we have a y equals x plus 3. So based on what I did in the last problem, what do I need to do first? Minus x. So I have negative x plus y equals 3. So what's my x-intercept?
-3.
Yep, negative 3. And what about my y-intercept?
Y equals 3.
Yep. So those are my two intercepts. So now when I go to graph it, So I have x is -3, so I put a point at -3. I have y is 3, so at 3 on the y, I put a point, and then connect the dots. There's my graph. See, 18. Y equals 4x minus 8. What do I need to do first?
Get your variables on one side.
So how do I do that?
Subtract 4x.
Yep. So -4x plus y equals -8. Now, do y'all notice something I'm doing differently compared to last chapter?
You're skipping a step.
I'm skipping writing this step that's like -4x, okay? You proved that you know what you're doing, well, most of you, in the last section. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. I'm just talking about the class as a whole. You guys have pretty much shown me that you know how to solve equations, okay? So, I'm not going to require you to write that step anymore, okay? Now, I would still advise it if you're not comfortable with it, but if you are, then skip this step and don't write it and just go straight to here, okay? I promise it'll be way more fun because you won't have to write as many steps out. But I have to do it the other way to make sure you know what's happening before we move on to this kind of stuff. So, I need to find my intercepts. What's my x-intercept?
2.
Yep, so cover up y, -4x equals -8, so x equals 2. Also, you don't have to write like x-intercept as long as you're writing x equals. I know what it means. Sometimes I write it, sometimes I don't. What's the y-intercept? -8. So then,
Wait, I'm confused. Wouldn't it be 8 because the y is positive? Oh, wait.
that just means I'm not dividing by anything. So I know that because of how I'm graphing these, I know that most of my graph is in the bottom, so that's why I'm making it uneven. So at x is 2, y is -8. Connect the dots, and there's your graph. What do you think about this method compared to the method we did yesterday?
I think this is easier.
Superior.
Yes. Aside from the quiz and test where I will force you to do one like we did yesterday, you will either choose this method or the method that we'll do a little later in the chapter to graph from here on out. We won't, pretty much aside from the quiz and the test and the exam, if there's a question on the exam about that, you won't actually be necessarily making a table and plotting the points like that because that's a lot more work than doing something like this. You have a question, Sam, or are you just raising your hand again?
No. What did we do yesterday?
We were graphing by putting numbers in a table and plugging them in.
Oh yeah. Wait. So do we have to the T thing?
The T-chart?
Yeah. So we don't
You-
have to do that for this one?
No, you're doing them just like I'm
Oh,
doing.
alright.
That section, it will specify that you need to make a table to graph the equation. Like, I'll make the instructions very clear what you have to do. I'm not going to leave you guessing. If I leave it up for debate and I'm just like, graph the equation and I don't give any instructions as to how, you can choose whatever method you want. 20. Y equals -2 plus 8x. What do I need to do first?
Get the variables on both sides.
Yep, so I need to subtract 8x, so -8x plus y equals -2. So what's my x-intercept?
4.
What's -2 divided by -8?
0.4.
Look,
1.
x equals negative 2 over negative 8.
-2.
No, it's a positive
Oh.
1.
0.25.
Yes, positive 1/4. X equals 1/4. Okay, you just reduce the fraction. Positives cancel because they're both negative. Hold on, back up. Negatives cancel because they're both negative, so it becomes positive. Then I have 2 over 8, which reduces to 1 over 4. So this is my x-intercept. What would the y-intercept be? Yep, -2. Cover that up, and I'm just left with y equals -2. So graphing this in here, notice I spreaded them out a little bit more. X is 1/4, so between here and here, I'm just going to try to go about 1/4 of the way. I'm not going to get super picky as long as you show it somewhere in that range. And y is -2. So that's all the way down here. So this one is just going up very, very tall. I have a guess.
Julia?
No, I thought Ella, but it could be her also.
All
right. One more. I want you to try this one on your own. So find the intercepts and graph it. 8x minus 5y equals 80. I'll come around and look like I did yesterday, and then I will give you all your problems. And because of what these numbers are, if you want to do your graph counting by 2s, you just need to show that you're doing increments of 2 when you do it. I did the same thing though, if that makes you feel any better. Yes. This should be negative.
Oh yeah.
That's a negative number right there. Yes. What is your y?
-8.
You should be dividing, because this would be -5y equals 80. So divide by -5 and then get the number. Yes.
I did increments by 2.
So make sure you put that you're doing labeled, like put a 2 there, but that number is also not right.
It's not?
No. 80 divided by -5 is a -18. You're close, but it's not quite that.
Positive?
No, it is negative, but it's not 18. That's not right. 80 divided by -5 is an 8. This should be negative right here.
I did something.
should be negative 16. All right, I'm going to put it up here for you.
Oh, we don't have any homework,
Huh?
we don't have any homework.
I mean, it's Wednesday, so it's not due tomorrow. But that doesn't mean you don't have problems from this section. All right, so I counted in increments of 2, so I made it very clear that I was counting by 2 so that if somebody else looked at the graph, they would know. So x was 10, y was negative 16. 80 divided by 5 would be 16, or well, negative, so negative 16. So y-intercept here, x-intercept here, and then connect the dots. All right, any questions on that? All right, your problems, but you will have probably 25 minutes tomorrow to work on them, and they'll probably start the next section. We'll see where we're at, but I don't think this stuff will take you very long. So, five through 13 odd, and then 17 through 25 odd. Yes, I will reiterate, it is Wednesday, so you do not need to do this tonight. You will have time in class tomorrow to work on it. As long as you're not goofing off, I'll give you as much time as you need. And then we'll start the next section. After section 4, we will be ready for a quiz. So just a heads up, we will probably spend 2 days on section 4 is my guess.